Trade routes in the area of Afro-Eurasia expanded over land and sea from the east coast of China to the northwest coast of Africa. In Big Era 4, specifically between 300 BCE and 300 CE, merchants, shippers, camel drivers, and sea captains extended and strengthened trade routes across Inner Eurasia, the Silk Roads, the baseline of the Mediterranean and Black Seas, and the Indian Ocean. From its capital in Pataliputra in the Ganges Valley, the Mauryan Empire grew wealthy from taxes on agriculture, iron mining, and control of trade routes. India was at the heart of the international land and sea trade routes that linked China, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, the Middle East, East Africa, and the lands of the Mediterranean. In the absence of a strong central authority, guilds of merchants and artisans became politically powerful. The growth of crafts such as metalwork, cloth making and dyeing, jewelry, and perfume, the increasing use of coins, and the development of local and long-distance commerce fostered the expansion and prosperity of urban centers. The Gupta Empire controlled most of the Indian subcontinent through a combination of military and its prestige as a center of sophisticated society. Although similar methods for raising revenue and administering broad territories were adopted, Gupta control was never as effectively centralized as Mauryan authority. The Gupta Empire also shared some strategic advantages with its Mauryan predecessor, sitting on important trade routes, exploiting agricultural productivity of the Ganges Plain, and controlling the iron deposits. The Greeks were the pioneers of sea trade. The Greeks had to resort to sea travel and trade with other lands in the Mediterranean to acquire metals and other vital materials. Soon, Greek ships were also plying the waters of the Mediterranean in search of raw materials, trade opportunities, and fertile farmland. Mauryan control was mainly on the Silk Road, running from eastern China through the Middle East and India to the northern tip of Africa. Iran's mineral resources, like copper, tin, iron, gold, and silver, were exploited on a limited scale in antiquity. Because this austere land could not generate much of an agricultural surplus, objects of trade tended to be minerals and crafted goods such as textiles and carpets. The trade from China to northern Africa only occurred because of the merchants and shippers of Afro-Eurasia building routes like the Silk Road, the Greeks learning how to navigate the sea, and people wanting to spread religion and culture throughout the area.
Around 500 BC, Rome was a relatively unimportant city-state in central Italy. 3.5 centuries later, Rome was the center of a huge empire encompassing virtually all the land surrounding the Mediterranean Sea. Expansion began slowly, then picked up momentum, reaching a peak in the 3rd and 2nd centuries BC. Some scholars attribute this expansion to the greed and aggressiveness of a people fond of war. The Roman Empire encompassed all the land surrounding the Mediterranean Sea, as well as sizable portions of the continental Europe and the Middle East. Unlike the Greeks, who were reluctant to share the privileges of the citizenship with outsiders, the Romans often granted some or all of the political, legal, and economic privileges of Roman citizenship to conquered populations. Commerce was greatly enhanced by the Pax Romana, or Roman feast. Glass, metalwork, delicate pottery, and other fine manufactured products were exported throughout the empire. The centers of production, originally located in Italy, moved into provinces as knowledge of the necessary skills spread. Other merchants traded in luxury items far beyond the boundaries of the empire, especially silk from China and spices from India and Arabia. The real center of power was the Senate. This self-perpetuating body, whose members served for life, brought together the state's wealth, influence, and political and military experience. From the mid-3rd century BCE, Qin began to methodically conquer and incorporate the other Chinese states, and by 221 BCE it had unified all northern and central China in the First Chinese Empire. Ancient Chinese society viewed merchants with suspicion, accusing them of greedily driving prices up through speculation and being parasites who lived off the work of others. Advisors to the emperors periodically blamed merchants for the economic ills of China and proposed harsh measures, such as banning them and their families from holding government posts. Temples and marketplaces were scattered about the civic center. Chang'an became a model of urban planning, its main features imitated in cities and towns throughout China. Emperor Wu dispatched forces to explore and conquer territories northwest of the Chinese heartland, essentially modern Gansu and Xinjiang. His goals were to improve access to large numbers of horses for his expanding cavalry and to pressure the Xiongnu on their western flank. Despite the overthrow of the Qin, fighting continued among various rebel groups. In 202 BC, Liu Bang prevailed and inaugurated a new dynasty, the Han, that would govern China for more than 4 centuries. The Han created the machinery and ideology of imperial government that would prevail for 2 millennia, and Chinese people today refer to themselves ethnically as Han. The new emperor, generally known as the throne name Gaozu, came from a modest background. Stories stress his peasant qualities, fondness for drink, blunt speech, and easy manner. The Qin and Han rulers of northeast China extended their control over all of eastern China and extensive territories to the west. A series of walls in the north and northeast, built to check the insurgence of nomadic peoples from the steppes, were joined together to form the ancestor of the present-day Great Wall of China. An extensive network of roads connecting towns, cities, and frontier forts promoted rapid communication and facilitated trade. The Silk Road carried China's most treasured products to Central, South, and West Asia and the Mediterranean lands.